In this video, I'll be covering the 6 differences between a 10K a month and a 100K a month agency owner. And if you are below the 100K, if you're below even the 10K, what the steps are that you can take to actually make that transition as quick as possible. And again, this is what we found after scaling over 250 agencies personally, right? If you don't know me, we run one of the fastest growing agency consultancies. We coach some of the biggest programs in the space, Iman Gadget, Charlie Morgan, all of that, and collectively coach over 3,000 agencies. So point number 1 is to think in terms of leverage, not in terms of labor. Right? The 10K a month agencies, they think in terms of working more, in terms of labor, but the 100K think in terms of leverage. So you don't grow by doing more, you grow by replacing yourself. So there was a point a while back where I was still taking sales calls. And what happened was because again, for me, it's I'm going to work all day regardless. So I was okay, how can I fit in 1 to 2 more sales calls? I was already working for 8 hours a day. So I was but how can I get that 1 or 2 more per day? And I was thinking okay, that's going to be the thing that allows me to grow faster by getting a couple more calls in. And I tried that and I was just dead tired by the end of it. And I didn't want to even look at a computer. And I was thinking okay, if I'm going to add an extra 100,000 in revenue, it's not going to be by taking an extra 1 to 2 calls a day. So why don't I just get a closer and they can take an extra 8 calls a day? It's okay, that is a lot more leverage. Then I don't have to take any more calls. So this is the way to think. Instead of thinking, okay, how can I work more to get this outcome? It's what can I automate? What can I add in terms of a team? And what can I delegate to get to this point? Right? So some more examples. Instead of personally booking sales calls, just hire a setter, or even if you see what we're doing as well, an AI setting system that can just run 24/7, right? So instead of manually onboarding every client, just use pre-recorded videos. Or hire a VA to just answer questions throughout the onboarding and automate the process. Instead of manually sending messages, just use AI, use a VA to reply to your DMs, to qualify leads, to schedule appointments. So an example is here from our Slack. It's yesterday, I only booked 10 to 15 calls, I think, probably more. But either way, it's I didn't send a message. I didn't touch a single conversation. It's just it just happens without me. So it's AI, it's setters, it's all of that happening again without me, right? So this is how you want to be thinking. And again, if you want these exact systems, there should be a link in the description. Just book a time with the team. We can walk you through how we'd actually implement these into your agency. The next one is replacing yourself. Replace yourself. Don't repeat the work. So what happens here is that every task that you do more than twice should be systemized or delegated. So an example of this is literally right before this recording. When I was scripting out this video, when I was giving the examples, all of that, I literally just turned Loom on. Loom is obviously a screen recording tool, LOOM, and I just recorded myself. I recorded myself doing the task that I already was going to do, but now I can take the Loom, use the AI to make a transcript, turn that into a playbook, and have someone else follow it the next time I do this. Now, they may not be 100% perfect, but even if they can do it 80% right, 85% right, it still saves me all this time. So it really just is as simple as when you're doing a task, just record yourself doing it, right? So answering client questions, onboarding clients, sending outreach, sales calls, literally everything, right? So an example of this is the client success playbook that we have. So onboarding clients, the daily workflow, the weekly workflow, the welcome message, the SOPs, all of that can be systemized. All of that can be delegated, right? So again, if you're thinking in terms of leverage, you need to record yourself so you can replace yourself, so you can work on higher leverage things. And that's what's going to allow you to grow the business. If you're already working all day and the business isn't growing, something's wrong, right? So the next is to focus on one offer, not many ideas. So a single great offer scales. A mix of okay ones and all these services, it distracts. So examples, very straightforward. Don't sell multiple service packages. Don't do a basic tier for 1K, an advanced tier for 2K, and an ultra advanced for 4K. Just do one. The reality is on a sales call, if you do that, it's just going to be confusing. And then people are going to need to think about it. And then you're going to send a proposal and then they're not going to reply and they're going to ghost you. Then you're going to follow up and you're going to be sad, right? So just do one. Then also don't do multiple niches. So SaaS, e-com coaches, all of that. Just pick one, build a ton of proof in that one, and then SOP around that. Now, the thing is a lot of our clients, they come in, they're oh, but I can work with 7 different people because I'm just so good at Facebook ads. I'm fair enough. But when you run your campaigns, like an outbound campaign that we provide for our clients, whether that's email, whether that's LinkedIn, whatever it is, just target one. because the messaging is going to convert a lot more, or it's going to convert a lot more highly, right? And then keep the back end tight. So you don't need to add like additional consulting or like white label services or like some special things. It's like, just keep it simple, right? So an example of this is one of our clients, Joe. When he came in, I mean, he went from 0 to 10K in 30 days. But when he came in, there was a lot of confusion about like, oh, should I do this niche? Should I do this one? Should I do this one? Should I do this service? On the one-on-one call that we had, it was literally just no, like just do this one, just do this offer. And he just did that. And he just added 10K a month in like 30 days. Like this is what can happen when you really just focus on one thing. So keep it as simple as humanly possible. Then the next one is to build systems, not goals, right? So revenue is a result. Like revenue is an effect to a cause, right? So you want to reverse engineer the system to hit that target. Now, what do I mean by this? It's like a lot of people, they say, oh, I want to hit 100K a month. Oh, I want to hit 50K a month. Oh, I want to hit 20K a month. I'm like, how are you going to do that? They're like, I'm going to work and I'm going to do outreach. Like that doesn't help because yes, you are directionally correct. You're working in the right direction. Yes, you do need outreach. You do need attention. You do need sales, but to what extent? How much? So if you want to get to 100K a month, okay, let's break it down. That's 20 clients at 5K a month. Now, a lot of people, you might see 5K and it's like, whoa, I can't charge 5K. Firstly, it's not that high and we can show you how to do that. Like it's really not a problem when you go after the right people. But even if it's like 2K, whatever it is, right? Just the fact that it's a number instead of just an aspiration is the key point here. So if that's the case, then you'll need around 100 book calls per month to close 20 at 20%. Right? So that's 25 calls a week. Now, even if you're charging on a retainer, you're going to need less because it's just going to build on top. Obviously there's churn, but like it's going to build. So, but let's just say that wasn't the case. So with a 20% show rate on cold outreach, you need around 500 to 600 contacts reached weekly, right? I actually even just adjust the numbers now just to make it even more realistic. The numbers before was for highly personalized outreach. But if we put over here, I mean, if we have a 2% booking rate on cold outreach, you'll need to contact around 1250 contacts per week. And if we can automate that entire process, then it's like, okay, that's all we need here. So we build a setter system, follow-up system, closer process to make those numbers happen like a machine. Because now it's like, okay, if we need to take 25 calls a week, and again, it's like, you don't have to be the one doing this. So when I was doing the math on what I needed to hit my targets, it's like, if we need like 200 calls a week, it's like, okay, I can't take 200 calls a week. So it's like, okay, we need to get other people in to increase the sales capacity, right? So that's why we need to start with the target. If you want to hit 10K a month, yeah, you can do it yourself. That's very easy. But if you want to hit 100K a month, yeah, you can if you're charging on retainer as well. But again, it becomes more difficult because you're doing other things as well. So the key point here is that we just need to specify exactly what is required with numbers. That's the key thing. So what I've even done for you guys, because I know people are going to see this video and it's like, oh, but how do I do that? I've even made a prompt over here in ChatGPT. You actually can't see the initial message at the top here, but this is what it says. So it says for a YouTube video, because just implying that it's in a YouTube video, please help me reverse engineer the number of clients, bookings, outreach messages, etc. I need to hit my goal for my agency. So what I would do here is you see the response over here, put the revenue goal, the payment, the retainer, all of that, literally just put this prompt in and do it. Like what you can even do is, it doesn't have to be perfect. What I do all the time is, like, let's say I had my phone here. What I would do is I would just open GBT, click this button over here, the voice button. It's essentially a voice note. Take out the phone and just speak through these things. And again, you don't have to speak through it in the sense of like super in detail, like perfect. It's like, I'll even do an example here just so you can see. So depending if this picks up or not, it's like, so, okay, it actually does. So let's say my monthly goal is $100,000 per month. One client pays on a retainer basis every single month, $3,000 a month. And you can see the approach that I'm taking over here. I'm just speaking through it. And you just click this, right? It's going to transcribe it. And you just submit it. Like that is literally it. Now I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it'll take some time. But again, literally just answer the questions. And if you don't understand what these things are, let's say like reply to lead rate, just ask it, right? It's actually that straightforward. Now, the next thing is to buy back time, not just revenue. So the principle here is that you want to you want to hire to free up your bandwidth, not just grow the top line. So I made a big mistake with this a while back where I was at a point where I was still taking sales calls. I was out of delivery. I was out of admin. I was out of most of the back end stuff, but I was still taking calls. I didn't do setting either, but I was just taking calls. And regardless, that was taking around 4 to 6 hours per day. So the mistake I made at the time was I made hires in the content side of things, like editors, videographers, things like that, in an attempt to grow the business. Now, yes, content will grow the business, nothing against content, but what would have made a bigger impact was me hiring a salesperson. Because if I hired the salesperson, then I would free up 4 to 6 hours per day, as opposed to giving myself extra work with the content. So it was like, I didn't actually have the time and attention needed to succeed in the content because I was so busy with the sales, right? So 4 to 6 hours of sales plus 2 hours of content. It's like, man, plus running the rest of the business. Like, it's tough. So the highest leverage thing here is you want to hire to free up your time. That's how you determine who should I hire. And again, I made a video on this, called, and it's like the 5 hires to build an agency that runs without you. Just check the YouTube. But you want to start your hires with what's taking the most time. Start with a part-time VA who handles like basic scheduling, client reminders, email sorting, like basic things, onboarding. Then the next thing you're going to hire is someone to own delivery, right? So media buyer, copywriter. So you stop being the bottleneck there and you use that time to do the next thing. So you use that time to get more bookings. Then you get a setter. Use that time to take more sales calls. Then you get a sales rep. Use that time to manage your team. Then you start getting managers. Use that time to build content. Then you build a content team. Like, that's the route. So you can see with like my content now, it's like, I'm in a phase where my main priority is just managing my sales reps and just making sure they're crushing it. Then it's like, okay, we need more bookings. Okay, ads, whatever it is. So you can see over here, one of the hires I made was I was spending a lot of time, not just doing the work, but also building automations to actually do the work more effectively. Like, this is like a super leverage. So I hired an automations architect who can actually build these things, build these systems, set up these accounts, manage and own the softwares so that I don't have to do that anymore. And it freed up so much time, and it's freeing up time for the entire team because his role is to free up everyone's time, right? So that's an example of hiring to free up time. Again, you're not hiring to make more money, you're hiring to free up time, and in that time you end up making more money. Then the next one and last one is to solve bottlenecks, not random problems. So every business has one constraint. There's only one, right? And that's your priority. Brought up a Miro board from one of the last videos, right? And it's called How to Grow Your Agency Faster Than Anyone Else. Really good video. There's a lot of really useful tactics in there. But I was saying that there's only one constraint at every time in the business. So an example of this for me is a while back when I was first starting the business, right? We were getting bookings, but we were probably getting like, let's say 2 to 4 a day, right? Which isn't the worst, but it's not great. So at that point, the constraint was bookings. We were getting, let's say 4 a day, but I had 8 slots in my calendar. So the constraint was that I had capacity in my calendar that was only filled halfway. So the first goal for us was like, okay, we need to get more bookings. Then what happened is we increased the bookings, got an extra 4 a day. Then we were at 8 per day. And then what happened was my entire calendar was full. So because of that, it was like, okay, what's the thing stopping the business from growing? Well, we have enough bookings. We could probably book 16 a day, but we don't have space in the calendar. So the constraint there was sales capacity. So we solved the booking constraint. Then the next constraint is reps. So it's essentially sales capacity. So then it's like, okay, we hired 2 sales reps. And now it's like, okay, let's say their calendars are full, but let's say their calendars are full halfway. So it's like, okay, we've opened up the sales capacity. Now the next constraint is bookings. Okay, cool. So now we need to get more bookings and fill that up. And this is exactly what's happening on our side. So then it's like, okay, getting all these bookings, getting all these clients, but it's like, okay, client success can't fulfill on all of these. So it's like, okay, we need to get more client success managers. We need to get better systems there. And you just keep doing this to grow the business, right? So some examples of this is that, because I speak to a lot of people, especially in the agency accelerator calls, in the coaching calls inside my program, all of that. It's like they're focused on the wrong thing, right? So like a very basic example, like don't redesign your logo when you're not booking calls. Like don't make your website when you're not booking calls. Like, fix the outreach, get the bookings. That's the first thing. But then it's like, don't hire a sales rep if you haven't even delegated your delivery yet, right? Because these are lower leverage things to get out of first. So again, I would check out this video as well. And again, you just want to, there's only one priority. So you want to ask yourself that. I would ask myself this every single day. I do this right now. It's like, what is the constraint of the business? Okay. If you have 8 hours available per day to work on the business, but you've got one sales call, you need more bookings. If you've got all of this, like you've got bookings, you've got clients being signed, but it's like you don't have time to deliver while doing sales at the same time, then it's like, okay, you need some like people on the back end. So these are the 6 things. And again, if you want help actually, partnering with us to install these systems into your agency, just make sure that everything is right, tailored to you, and we can just hold your hand throughout the entire journey. Just book a call using the link in the description. You can speak to the team. They'll give you a walkthrough, like a personalized one based on what we'd recommend, based on the highest leverage things for you. And if it makes sense, we can walk through what it would look like to potentially partner. If not, you'll just have an entire blueprint to execute on without us. All right. Talk to you soon.